There are numerous mysteries throughout the world. Some of them have been solved, but some remain unsolved to date. However, today we are not here to look at those unsolved mysteries, even though they might be a part of the list. Today we look at the top 7 spine-chilling mysteries of all time. But be careful, you might not see some things the same way again. Went up but never came down. 9 hikers decided to hike up the mountains of what is now known as Russia, but they never made it back. Well, alive at least. They all mysteriously died on the first night of February 1959. On the night of the incident, the group had already set up camp on a slope, enjoyed their dinner, and prepared for sleep. However, something went catastrophically wrong, and the group never returned from the mountains. On February 26, a group of researchers went to look for the group, and found the hikers' abandoned tent. However, it had been ripped from the inside. Around the area were footprints left by the group, and from these you could see that some were wearing socks, some were wearing a single shoe, and some were barefoot. The footsteps continued to the edge of a nearby wood, and this is where the first 2 bodies were found. The bodies were shoeless, and they were only seen wearing underwear. All the evidence at the scene was leading towards hypothermia as the cause of death, but when medical examiners were interviewing the bodies as well, as these 7 other bodies that were discovered over the months that followed, hypothermia no longer made any sense. None of the evidence made sense from then on. One body had evidence of blunt force trauma, consistent with a brutal assault. Another had 3rd-degree burns. One had been vomiting blood. One was missing a tongue, and some of their clothing was found to be radioactive. Most theories about this include KGB interference, drug overdose, UFOs, gravity anomalies, and the Russian version of the Yeti. The latest theory is of a phenomenon known as infrasound, in which the wind interacts with the topography to create a barely audible hum that can nevertheless include powerful feelings of nausea, panic, dread, chills, nervousness, raised heartbeat rate, and breathing difficulties. I guess we will never really know what happened on that mountain. Ghost ship, the Mary Celeste. The Mary Celeste was a British-American ship that was found empty and adrift in the Atlantic on December 4th, 1872. When it was found, all its cargo was intact and it was still seaworthy. The only thing missing was a lifeboat, and it appeared that it had been boarded in an orderly fashion. The reason behind this remains unknown since no one on board made it back to tell us what happened. The Mary Celeste set sail in November 1872 from New York, headed to Genoa, Italy. She was being manned by Captain Benjamin Briggs and 7 crew members, among them being Briggs' wife and 2-year-old daughter. These supplies on board were enough to last them 6 months and were pretty luxurious too. There was a sewing machine and an upright piano. However, people have come to the conclusion that to have left a seaworthy ship, one had to be exposed to an extraordinary and alarming circumstance. When the ship's daily log was checked, the last entry revealed nothing unusual, and the inside of the ship appeared to be in order. There have been a lot of theories over the years, including mutiny, pirate attacks, and an assault by a giant octopus or sea monster. We will never know what happened. The Voynich Manuscript. The Voynich Manuscript is a roughly 250-page book that was written in an unknown language. When it was carbon dated, it showed that it was as old as the 1400s. The book has some images of plants that do not resemble any known species. The book was named after the Polish book dealer who purchased it in 1912. It has been speculated that it was intended as a medical text. The book was first discovered by George Bush, an alchemist from Prague, who claimed that it was taking up space uselessly in his library. After that, he tried to investigate the manuscript's origins, but nothing came up. It then changed hands for centuries until eventually it was taken by Voynich. He later posted that it was authored by Albertus Magnus, an alchemist, or Roger Bach, an early scientist. However, some claim that Voynich fabricated the manuscript and its history by himself. There have been many theories about its owner over the years, but none really explains the book's origin, or what it even says. The Pollock Sisters reincarnate. It is said that 24% of Americans believe in reincarnation. However, as much as scientists tend to experiment about the possibility of reincarnation, a mystery pops up that even leaves them guessing their theories. That was the case with the Pollock Sisters. In 1957, 2 young English sisters, Joanna Pollock, age 11, and Jacqueline Pollock, age 6, lost their lives in a tragic car accident. About a year later, their mother gave birth to twins, Gillian and Jennifer. However, when they got to the age that they could talk, they started requesting toys that belonged to their dead sisters. Not only that, but they would even identify some landmarks only their dead sisters would have known, such as the school they attended. Whenever they saw cars idling, they would freak out, saying, "That car is coming to get us." Once they turned 5, these incidents became less frequent, and the girls lived normal lives. When the stories of the Pollock sisters got to Dr. Ian Stevenson, a psychologist studying reincarnation, he wrote a book that told of 14 different scenarios that he believed were all reincarnation. What do you think of reincarnation? That is not my son. When Clint Eastwood's film Changeling was released in 2008, it reawakened interest in one of the most bizarre and tragic crime stories of the 1920s. In March 1928, Christine Collins, a single mother, reported that her 9-year-old son Walter was missing from their home in Los Angeles. About 5 months later, the police returned home with Walter, but this was not really Walter, and Christine knew it. Whenever she tried to raise her concerns, the LAPD dismissed them, even going as far as to accuse her of bad mothering. They even had her committed to a mental hospital. However, the real Walter Collins was never found, and over time the authorities speculated that he was one of the victims of convicted child murderer Gordon Stewart Northcott. However, Northcott's mother went on to offer a confession for killing Walter. But what happened to the real Walter Collins was never discovered, and his body was never recovered. The reason for the police covering up the boy's disappearance and why they brought a different child back was also never unearthed. The disappearances at the Flannan Isles Lighthouse. In 1900, 3 keepers of the Flannan Isles Lighthouse, off Scotland's west coast, disappeared under some very strange circumstances. The lighthouse was being manned by a 3-person team. These were Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, and Donald MacArthur. There was also a 4th man who would rotate in from the shore. On December 26, 1900, the relief keeper arrived to find that there was no one in the lighthouse. The only sign that something was not right was an overturned chair near the kitchen table. No bodies were left behind, which has led to endless speculation and theories about what happened. Some of them involved drowning, abduction by foreign spies, ghost ships, or even giant sea monsters. But whatever happened at the Flannan Isles Lighthouse was never known. The bridge at Overtoun. The Overtoun Bridge near Dumbarton seems to have a tendency to make dogs leap to their deaths. This has been one of those spots full of unsolved mysteries. Since the early 1960s, there have been more than 15 canines that have perished here. Hundreds more have survived the jump, with some returning for a second leap onto the jagged rocks that are 50 feet below. The Scottish Society for the Preservation of Cruelty to Animals has sent a lot of representatives to investigate, but they have come up with nothing. When you think of this scientifically, it is debatable, if not incredibly unlikely, that dogs are capable of having the intention of ending their own lives. However, in the case of this bridge, there is something that is luring them off of it, and it is most likely from the same spot. Not only that, but it is always on sunny, dry days. There have been many theories, including that the bridge is haunted. This popular theory came about after a local man threw his baby son to his death from the bridge in 1994. Another theory is that a mink marks the area with an almost irresistible scent. There have also been claims that a sound anomaly exists at the bridge that only dogs can hear. But whatever is causing the dogs to jump to their death, dog owners better keep their dogs on a leash. Which of these mysteries is the most spine-chilling to you? Feel free to let us know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.